Okay, we're going to have a look at some voice typing applications or different ways of doing it. This is by far my favourite way of doing it, which is speech notes. And the address is a bit weird because it's speechnotes.co. Nothing else, just .co. So it's a difficult one to remember. So it actually works by using Google's own built-in voice recognition, and they've enhanced it their own way, which makes it even better in my review. There's a list here of certain command words which you can say and what they do, so it's all pretty straightforward. There is over here a list of different options you can choose. For example, the best one is the fact that you can save text for later on, and it remembers. You don't have to have an account, it just remembers your web browser and it saves them for later on. I use this a lot, by the way, for feedback, giving feedback to students, so you can see stuff in there. So there you go. I shall create a new session again, and then you can also export it in all sorts of different ways, or you can send it direct onto Google Drive. But of course, what you can also do is you can copy and paste this into other documents, is what I nearly always do. So let's get it going and see how accurate it is. So there's your button there. So I'm going to press it once to start. Okay, now let's see how it does. So far 100%. Now I do tend to find with all these different ways of doing it, you're best giving it so many words at once and then letting them process. However, you can talk quite rapidly if you do choose to. There is always that risk, therefore, that the accuracy may be reduced accordingly. And if you do want to see what's just been processed and is not yet been put into place, you can just press the return button and a whole lot gets put in there and then. Otherwise, it waits until you actually stop, at which point it puts in a full stop and inserts the text at the top. Now, because it's a web browsing app, I use it with my favourite grammar checker, which is Grammarly, and you'll see that it will find the occasional mistake using Grammarly. And of course, the two combined find most of the errors, but it's always worthwhile having a quick read through yourself to make sure it makes sense, as Grammarly even can't figure out if things actually are phrased wrong. So there you go. You can see that is by far, as far as I'm concerned, the best. And if you don't listen to the rest of this video, I wouldn't go any further. I'll just use this particular application or this particular website. Our second choice is to use Dictate, which is built into Office 365. So remember that all staff and students are entitled to, I think, up to 5 copies of Office 365 on their own computers at home. And if you're going to do that, I'd also install OneDrive, which allows you approximately 2 terabytes worth of free online storage, which is more than enough for anyone, even if they have a big music or video collection, I would have thought. So we're going to look at Dictate. Now it's on the home page on most of the major apps with Office 365. So you can see it's there on Word, and if I shoot into PowerPoint and go to Home, you can see it's also there as well, and it's on most of the other apps as well, or the apps which you'd expect some sort of dictation. So let's start it and see how it does. It does have a few twists and turns. I tend to find with this it tends to freeze every now and then, especially if you're talking too fast. It has a sort of point at which it can't keep up with you, and it also stops working after about a minute, so you have to keep running it, keep starting a new session of dictation. But let's try it. So everything we now say will be converted into text. Now it is quite accurate, in fairness, and I've think it would probably work better with a desktop or a more powerful laptop. But I found that, as you'll see in a minute, it does certain things like freezes possibly, but also stops after a bit. And you do sometimes have to wait for it, whereas with speech notes, I use speech notes quite a lot, as I say, and no matter how fast you talk, it always seems to try and keep up with you reasonably well. Whereas dictate, I've never had as good a impression of how well it works. It has been updated recently, I believe, and the new update now has certain commands, like for example, new paragraph. Number 1 didn't quite work. New paragraph. And it's frozen on me, I think. Nope, it's carrying on. But anyway, it's it's a good choice. If you've got something you're going to type into Office or PowerPoints and you just can't be bothered typing, but you'd rather voice type, then as it's built in, it's probably not a bad choice. And for those of you who like to use Google Docs instead of Office, you can do the same thing in Google Docs, although arguably it's not quite as powerful. If you go to Tools, you do have voice typing as an option. You probably find the first time you use it, you have to change it to English UK rather than English United States, but it both works just as well. And if you click there, from now on, everything I say will appear as type. The other advantage I prefer over Word is that, again, I can use Grammarly for grammar and spelling checking, as well as Google Docs now has its own built-in grammar checker, which is up here, which you can turn on if you wish, and appears with blue underline. So anyway, that's how you do it. It does work reasonably well. It is basically the same technology I was using when I was typing in speech notes, but it doesn't have the extra stuff speech notes has developed. For example, if I say period, puts the word period in. If I say full stop, it normally works. Yes, there we go. But if I say return or new paragraph, then it doesn't understand what I'm saying. So you've got to do certain things yourself, which means, of course, when you want to change things, you have to stop typing and you have to manually go back and change them later on. But things do work reasonably well, and it does give you reasonably accurate results. So if you don't like to use Office, you prefer Google Docs, then the same is available on Google Docs. An alternative way of doing this, of course, before we had voice typing as an option, was to use your smartphone to edit the same document which is already saved. And then what you would do is you would basically edit it on your smartphone by voice typing using the built-in voice typing keyboards we all have on our smartphones now. And also, you would then see the changes instantly on the screen because it synchronizes directly using Google Docs between different devices. But I think I've said enough on that now. For those of you who are interested how I produced this demonstration, I used PowerPoint screen recording technology. You'll find this if you go to the insert menu, and over here you've got screen recording. Now obviously I'm using it at the moment, so I can't show you live, but you simply press screen recording, it comes up with a little box where you can choose an area to record or the whole screen. You press record and away you go.